Wind lashed frozen rain against the plate glass window with Abernathy's stenciled on it in big, gold-highlighted letters. The chill didn't extend into the store, which had an excellent climate control system, but I pulled my sweater more closely around myself anyway. It was one of those bleak January days that made me wonder why anyone had wanted to settle in Portland in the first place way back in the 19th century. Even hardened trappers and lumberjacks must have hated the incessant rain. I turned to the page of my cookbook and skimmed down the recipes. Slow cooker pot roast. Too late for that today, but I could start it tomorrow morning before leaving for work, and it would make the house smell incredible when I got home. I was never going to love cooking the way my mother did, but I was competent after 6 months' practice, and Malcolm never complained or insisted on cooking more often than he already did. I added the ingredients to the shopping list on my phone. One more meal and I could send the list to Ingrid, who would do the shopping and have it all put away before 6. I suppressed the usual twinge of guilt I felt when I thought about Ingrid. She represented a compromise between me and Malcolm, who wanted a housekeeping service when we moved into our new home. I'd challenged him on it. We'd already learned our lesson about letting wealth dominate our lives with our last apartment, and Malcolm had pointed out that I worked 6 days a week, usually 9 to 6, and didn't have time for all the chores a house that size required, not to mention shopping and all the little errands that have to happen during the day. But I didn't like the idea of someone else doing all the cleaning when we were both perfectly capable. Not to mention, I felt it was a little too upper class for upper middle class me. That was something Malcolm could understand and agreed with. So we'd settled on Ingrid, who was a warden with a tragic past in need of a job. She ran errands and did the shopping and left the cleaning and cooking to me. I'd realized how wise a choice we'd made when the dishwasher broke and the repair place had given us one of those "we'll get there when we get there" time estimates. Ingrid hadn't minded waiting for them at all. Even so, employing her felt so odd, even if Ingrid wasn't at all servile. We might even become friends if I was ever home long enough to get to know her. I turned another couple of pages. Fish, maybe. I could use more practice poaching fish. I made another note and pressed sync to upload the list so Ingrid could download it, then texted her a heads up. A few seconds later, she responded with her usual smiley face emoji. I closed the cookbook and stretched. 3:45. It felt much later, thanks to the rain. Someone hurried past the window, and seconds later the door flew open, sending the bells jangling. "Sorry," said the woman who entered. "The wind took it out of my hands." She had a carton covered with a big plastic garbage bag tucked under one arm and a brightly colored scarf covering the tight black curls of her afro. "Hi, Juliet," I said. "I didn't think anyone would come in today." "I was running errands and figured I'd stop by. Drop these off?" Juliet Dawes said. She set the carton on the counter and removed its plastic cover, revealing a disorganized pile of leather-bound tomes. "I don't have an augury request today, so if you could put them on my account?" "Sure." "Judy?" Judy's muffled reply was unintelligible, but shortly she emerged from the stacks. Her knee-length smock in vivid green and yellow made her look as if she'd stepped from the pages of a 70s fashion magazine. "Oh, hi, Juliet," she said. "Sorry, I was updating software. I didn't think anyone would come in today." That's what I said. I grabbed a handful of books and set them in an irregular stack on the glass-topped plywood of the front counter. I half expect to see Noah and all his animals poling the ark down the middle of the street. 3 days of nonstop rain is excessive, Juliet agreed. You still think it was a good idea to plan your wedding for January? Judy snorted with indelicate amusement. I lifted my chin defiantly and said, Malcolm begins 4 months of training new teams in April. My parents are going to France in May, and I didn't want to wait a whole year. And nobody gets married in January, so I didn't have to compete hard for a venue. It was a smart decision. How many times had I made that little speech?